In 1945, Soviet soldiers found something in a German castle, and then it vanished forever. April 1945. The Red Army is closing in on East Prussia. Soviet Colonel Anatoly Kuchumov is leading a special unit tasked with one objective: find cultural treasures before the Germans destroy them. His orders come from Stalin himself. Kuchumov knows the stakes: fail, and he answers to a dictator who doesn't accept excuses. He's racing against time, against the Wehrmacht, against the possibility that centuries of art might burn in the rubble of a collapsing Reich. But before we get to what Kuchumov actually found, we need to understand what he was even looking for. The Amber Room wasn't just any art. It was arguably the most valuable single chamber ever created by human hands. Built in 1701 for the Prussian King Frederick I, the room was an 11 by 17-foot masterpiece of amber inlay, gold leaf, and mirrors. Every surface glowed. Every angle caught light differently. Contemporary accounts describe visitors literally struggling to comprehend what they were seeing. In 1716, Peter the Great of Russia visited Prussia. He saw the Amber Room and made a decision. He wanted it, so he negotiated. Frederick agreed to gift it to Peter, partly as a peace gesture, partly because Peter was offering military alliance. The room was disassembled, packed into 19 wooden crates, and transported across the frozen landscape to St. Petersburg. For 2 centuries, it sat in the Catherine Palace, 30 kilometers outside the city. It became the jewel of Russian imperial culture. Then came June 1941. Nazi Germany invades the Soviet Union. The Wehrmacht's Army Group North is advancing directly toward Leningrad. Soviet officials face a brutal choice: leave the Amber Room in place and risk Nazi looting, or attempt evacuation during active combat. They choose evacuation, but the room is fragile. Moving it requires expertise and time. They have neither. Hastily, curators disassemble it, pack it into crates again, and hide it in the Catherine Palace basement. That's where it stays for nearly 4 years, sealed, hidden, forgotten amid the chaos of total war. The siege of Leningrad kills 900,000 people. The front lines shift. And then, in 1944, the Wehrmacht retreats. German soldiers occupy the Catherine Palace in the final months of the war. What they do next becomes the central mystery of this story. The official German account is straightforward. They discovered the hidden room, recognized its value, and decided to evacuate it eastward to prevent Soviet capture. A German captain named Wilhelm Borodin allegedly packed the crates and shipped them to Königsberg, the fortress city in East Prussia. That's the narrative filed in post-war German records. But here's the problem. No one has ever verified those records with physical evidence. When Kuchumov's unit finally reaches Königsberg in April 1945, the fortress is in chaos. Russian artillery is pounding the city. German defenders are fighting block by block. Soviet soldiers are looting whatever they can find. Kuchumov's team searches the royal castle, the administrative buildings, the storage vaults. They find German cultural treasures. They find looted art from across Europe, but they find no Amber Room. A decision point. Kuchumov could report failure. Instead, he files a report claiming Soviet forces have recovered the Amber Room intact. It's a lie. He knows it's a lie, but he's calculating the cost of telling Stalin the truth, likely execution. The cost of lying, possible discovery later, but that's a future problem. He chooses the lie. And Stalin, who's preoccupied with reorganizing Eastern Europe, accepts the report without verification. For decades afterward, the Amber Room becomes a ghost. The Soviets maintain that it was destroyed in the war, either by German bombing or during the final assault on Königsberg. The Germans, those who survived, claim it was lost to chaos or destroyed by Soviet forces. Both narratives are convenient. Neither is provable. The room exists in the space between official stories, and that's where it remains. Except, and this is where the mystery deepens, there's evidence it wasn't destroyed. In the 1990s, after the Soviet Union collapses and archives open, historians find testimonies from German soldiers who claim they did evacuate the room from Königsberg. Some say it went to a mine in the Harz Mountains. Others mention a castle in Thuringia. One account places it on a ship that sank in the Baltic Sea. Every account is secondhand. None can be verified. In 2003, a German art investigator named Peter Conradi publishes research suggesting the room was indeed evacuated, possibly hidden in East Germany, and then lost amid the chaos of reunification. He estimates its value at around $142 million in modern currency. But his evidence is circumstantial. Interviews, archival fragments, logical deduction. Nothing concrete, nothing that would hold up in court or convince a skeptic. And then there's the Russian reconstruction. In 2003, the same year Conradi publishes, Russia opens the new Amber Room in the Catherine Palace. It's not the original. It's a painstaking reconstruction built from photographs, archival drawings, and surviving amber panels that weren't in the original room when it vanished. The project cost nearly $11 million and took a decade. It's beautiful. It's also an admission that the original is gone forever. So where is the original? The most credible theory based on available evidence is that German forces did evacuate it from Königsberg in the final weeks of 1945. They likely transported it westward, possibly by rail or truck. In the collapse of the Reich, amid millions of displaced people and destroyed infrastructure, it was lost, either destroyed in bombing, sunk at sea, or buried in a location that no surviving German officer could pinpoint under interrogation. But here's what makes this a Cold War mystery, not just a wartime loss. The Soviets had every incentive to lie about it. Admitting the Amber Room was captured by Germans and then lost would have been a propaganda disaster, so they buried the truth. And when the Cold War ended and archives opened, enough time had passed that no one alive could definitively prove what happened. The trail was cold. The witnesses were dead. The evidence was fragmentary. Treasure hunters still search for it. In 2020, a German filmmaker claimed to have located it in a flooded mine. He didn't. In 2022, a Russian official suggested it might be in a bunker beneath Berlin. No evidence emerged. Every few years, someone claims they've found it. Every few years, the claim evaporates. The Amber Room has become less an object and more a mirror. Each generation projects onto it what they want to believe about loss, power, and what happens to beauty in wartime. The most honest answer is this: we don't know. The Amber Room was likely destroyed or lost in the final chaos of World War II, possibly while under German custody. The Soviet cover-up ensured we'd never get a full accounting, and the passage of time has made verification nearly impossible. What we're left with is an absence, a room that glowed for 3 centuries and then simply ceased to exist in any verifiable form. That's the real treasure of this story, not the amber itself, but what it teaches us about how history gets written. Decisions made under pressure by people with incomplete information create gaps that decades can't fill. Kuchumov lied to survive. The Soviets lied to save face. And now, 75 years later, we're left reconstructing a room that might be gone, based on fragments of truth buried under layers of wartime chaos and Cold War secrecy. The Amber Room remains lost, not because no one knows where it is, but because the people who might have known chose silence. And by the time the archives opened, silence had calcified into mystery. It's a reminder that some treasures vanish not in theft, but in the fog of war and the decisions ordinary people make when survival is on the line. Subscribe so you don't miss the next unsolved case where the evidence exists, but the truth doesn't.